Hello.
Hello.
Hi. How's it going?
It's going well. Wonderful to just talk to you for the first time like this. Just fresh.
Sunny and I have been talking for like 20 minutes before this. We warm ourselves up. We get ready to get into it. And, we have really interesting conversations, her and I. Conversations y'all shall never hear. These conversations shall never exit mine and her four walls of our respective rooms. So, anyway. Hi, Sunny. Glad you're doing good. I'm doing just well. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Scary Talk, episode 65. We are 5 episodes away from episode 70, and more importantly, 4 episodes away from episode 69. So,
Woo!
look forward to that. So, hi, all. Today we are doing Cryptids, part 3, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But frankly, this is all new to Sunny, so to her, it's definitely a part 1. She's going to be delving into this for the first time, and I can't wait to see what you have for us. But first, how have you been?
I have been wonderful. I'm super excited for this because I've come to realize how important Mothman is to Scary Talk.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just coming into a really exciting legacy here. But yeah, I've been doing well, chilling out, spending time with family, and doing training for my soon-to-be job. So it's been good. How about you, Andre?
I'm really excited because movie theaters are going to be opening soon. Like July 15th is where like my local theater is going to open up, and I can't wait because
Ooh!
I love going to the movies, and I have been kept from doing so far too long. So there's that to look forward to.
Yay, that is exciting.
That's what's happening. Other than that, a pretty boring week, but we're going to spice it up for you guys. We have some cryptid talk, so I don't know. Cue in the creep factor. Sunny, would you like to start us off with one of your
Oh,
cryptids?
yeah. I'm gonna start us off with one that I really like because I now believe in it.
Wow, she said, I have been converted.
I really have. So this one is called Big Cats of Britain, or like Alien Cats, Mystery Cats, and the
So just to clarify, they're not just fat cats that live in the
not
UK.
just fat cats. They're supposed to be big cats, but they are like the big
Okay.
cats that you would think of, like leopards, lynxes, just regular species. But the history,
I think the plural for lynx is lynxi.
the correct term is Linux. um, but much like my preferred operating system, Mac, the history on this is very smooth. Um,
Fuck off.
so it's a really interesting history where in the 1900s, people in Britain could buy pretty much any exotic animal from a place called Harrods, among other places. This included baby elephants, alligators, and different species of big cat. So in 1976, Britain passes the Dangerous Wild Animals Act that no person shall keep any dangerous wild animal except under the authority of a license. So this makes a whole bunch of new requirements if you're going to keep a cat. You need an enclosure of this size and ventilation and stuff. So it's believed that a lot of people might have just let their cats free, and that most of them were died or were captured, but that there may be some who just survived and adapted, especially leopards, because they're supposed to be a pretty adaptable species, and are now just chilling in the British countryside, which is, of course, not at all their native habitat. So, getting into the modern day proof of this idea.
Wait a minute. I'm very lost. Where is the cryptid in this? Like, are you just talking about cats that went missing from their homes?
Okay, yes, but it's included on the list of cryptids on Wikipedia
What?
because it's got like mythical elements to it. And in Britain,
Oh,
actually, yeah,
okay.
there have been people who believe that there have been big cats in the wild since like the 1700s. But there have been more sightings recently that go along with this 1976 law idea. And a lot of people like
Okay, well, did these cats, like, that ran away from their homes, like, start living underground in the sewers, and did, like, a rat feed them pizza, and they all of a sudden acquired, like, nuclear-style powers, and now they're ninjas? Like, where, like, it just sounds like normal animals in the
it's
countryside.
what you would think, but most people don't think that they're real. Like, it's definitely like, it has the cryptid sense of mystery to it because it's very rare to
Okay.
capture them on camera. A lot of people claim to have sightings, like way, way more than there has been found evidence, which is why it's also like, what's going on? Yes. So in terms of sightings, see, here's the thing. I've already converted you to just believe that it's a regular natural thing, because that is now currently my view on this. It's not mysterious at all.
What I'm saying is, well, yeah, no shit, because it's not that hard to believe. Like, you're not telling me these are alien cats. You're just telling me they're just cats, and they're big, and they're in the countryside, and that's not that far a stretch.
It's true, but a lot of these cats have native habitats that are in like Asia or Africa. So the idea of them being in like the freezing moors of, I don't know, Scotland. I'm guessing Scotland has moors, whatever those are. I've just seen them red before.
They're having a vacation. They want a chilly good time. What's the big deal?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know. And here's the thing. A lot of video evidence, because I went through the list of video evidence on Wikipedia, is super vague, and it's from a far away. So it could just be a domestic black cat that looks big because of the distance. Yeah. Although, there is one photo from 2017 that I checked that is just, in my opinion, definitely a big cat. Like, people are trying to say, like, oh, maybe it's a dog. But it, like, you can see the shape of the head and stuff, and it's like, that just looks like a giant puma is what that looks like, a black one. That's the other thing. Most of these animals are black. The leopards aren't naturally black, you know. So what's going on? So there are a list of incidents. I think there's a pretty famous one that we'll get to, but there are also some specific ones where cats were found and shot, and you have the body. So in 1991, a lynx was shot near Norfolk. It had killed around 15 sheep within 2 weeks, and the stuffed body of the lynx is now allegedly in the possession of a collector. But check this out. The story was only reported in 2003, even though it happened in 1991. So now the question around big cats is someone trying to hide them? Ooh.
Yeah, and his name is Joe Exotic. Is that reference dated yet? I hope not. Anyway.
There's another one in 1994. It was reported that a large cat had been shot. The shooting was not immediately reported, as the farm worker involved feared prosecution. But police reportedly concluded that the animal was an ocelot or serval. That's the other thing. So these animals are like varying breeds, right? Which kind of goes along with the historical idea that they could have just been released wild animals. But yeah, I think the crazier thing is that there have been more recent sightings, right? The picture that I said was the most clear is from 2017, so that definitely can't be the original batch from, 1976? That would have to be, like, generations of cats. Yeah, and there's an adjacent tale of the Scottish wildcat that's supposed to be just, like, a mix of feral cats and, like, other possible wild cats. It's a super vague description, but that is very similar, and a lot of these sightings take place in Scotland. So I think it's pretty interesting, and that there's also some evidence in terms of prey and stuff. But yes, that the British government and most official sources have not acknowledged that big cats are real. For the most part, when they've done investigations, they've come out saying, no, we don't believe it. There was one investigation in 1995 around the Beast of Bodmin, which was reported to have killed over 100 sheep over 3 months. That's what the dude who owned the sheep said. There was a huge investigation, and they said, we don't think this is real. But they are quoted, it would never be possible to prove that an exotic big cat was not present either. So you could think about this as Schrodinger's cat.
Yeah. Please explain what Schrodinger's cat is to everyone, Sunny.
The idea that if you have a cat in a box, you close the box, and you know that the cat, if left in the box, will die at some point. You don't know whether it's alive or dead in there, so for all intents and purposes, the cat is both dead and alive. So here you could think about these big cats as being both existent and non-existent. I'm not sure if that's a totally applicable analogy, but
I think it is. I mean, what Now, what are the chances that these animals just escaped from a nearby zoo?
That has been noted. So a couple of these sightings have happened near breeding facilities, which is one thing, and also that a lot of sightings have been confirmed to be false. So in November of
Hmm.
2017, a trucker claimed to have been seeing a bunch of highway workers lifting the body of a 4-foot black panther. However, later on, the truckers responded with a statement saying, no, it was a dead black dog that we were hauling that day. So it's pretty much confirmed.
Or did they pay him off so they would say that?
I mean, who knows at this point? Um, I would love
You
to,
know, the nebulous they that are trying to control you and I, our minds, and the world.
of course, trying to control so that we don't realize the big cat's existence. It would just
Yeah,
drive
the
the
big
world
cat
wild.
conspiracy of Britain.
It's really
Yeah.
funny though, because I watched some YouTube videos on this, and there was one guy who claimed to have a photo, and he was like, "But I don't want my voice or body shown in the video." So in the video, they like couldn't show him or anything. They had to change his
Mhm.
voice, and then when he showed the photo, it was just a photo of like a house cat from a while away, and and then the comments were like, he didn't want the puma that he saw to recognize him in the YouTube video.
I mean, listen, I mean, in one sense, it is really interesting to hear that there's the possibility that there's a bunch of non-native like animals on the British countryside that are just like roaming there for some ominous reason. That is really strange. I mean, on the other hand, like if there was, as you mentioned earlier, a conspiracy to hide them, like if there was someone hiding these animals, um, that's almost like the moon is a hologram conspiracy that I talked about some episodes back, which is like interesting to just babble about, but why the fuck would anyone care to do that? Like, what is like, why is NASA like faking a moon? Like, what? What's the purpose of
So
that?
true. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I'm not sure
yeah.
I would see the motive there. Yeah, it's just interesting.
Well, what about here with your cats, right?
What do you mean? Oh
I
no,
mean,
I don't
why
see.
would
I
anyone
was saying the same.
be?
I don't see the motive for the cats either. I very
Oh,
seriously
okay,
doubt
okay.
the conspiracy theory, but it's just interesting. Yeah, this the quote from the 1995 investigation is that they spent 6 months examining. So they took this seriously. There were enough people shouting for justice that the Ministry of Agriculture
Wow.
spent 6 months examining eyewitness reports, video recordings, and plaster casts of footprints, concluding there was no verifiable evidence of the presence of a big cat. So a lot of authorities are saying like, "Hey, we've looked into this and we don't believe it," which is what makes it more of like a crypt, which gives it the sense of being a cryptid because who knows? Um,
Yeah, that is true. Well, I mean, listen, I don't believe in that at all because it's so ridiculous. But now I'm gonna be talking about how the Queen of England is a lizard. So here we go. No, I'm kidding.
I don't know. After seeing Kate Blanchett's performance, I could believe.
Nah, I'm just joking. That is interesting. I mean, I don't know where my mind goes with
Mm-hmm.
that. I mean, okay, I think there's a possibility that these non-native to Britain like big cats are roaming around. Like, I mean, that's very plausible. What's more interesting is why. And my conspiracy like driven brain is trying to find some kind of ominous reason
Mm,
that would make this really like ooh spooky. Um, I don't know why though. I mean, I don't know why that would be. Maybe there is no one backing this. Maybe it is just I don't know a bunch of cats that somehow ended up there. Like I don't know. Like maybe they swam.
yeah,
Like
I mean that's the theory based on the history. I feel like I should have presented the like mainstream like these cats don't exist. It's been confirmed, and then given my like oh, but according to this little piece of history, maybe it could have been this. Um,
make it spooky, Sunny. Make it
okay, well,
spooky.
lesson learned to make it spooky. It's just I so genuinely believe in them now.
Fair enough. Hey, I'm not gonna take that away from you. So that is interesting though. I am gonna be talking about the Goatman, which
Yes.
you know, put side to side, which is what you just talked about. um, I don't blame you if you don't believe in the Goatman, but here we go
Okay.
regardless. So, uh, the Goatman, for those of you who have never heard of him, is a humanoid cryptid, and he's most commonly associated with Louisiana, Maryland, and Texas. It is described as a 7-foot tall hybrid creature. He's part man and part goat. Some claim that it is a relative of the New Orleans evil chupacabra-like cryptid, the Grunge, which I looked up and I guess looks kind of like the Goatman.
We're making
Whatever. I
cryptid
don't think they're
connections
related.
now. I like this.
Yeah, girl, there's cryptid families. Are you kidding me? Hello. The urban legends of the Goatman often tell of it killing young couples in parked cars or scouring neighborhoods, killing. Okay, here's the thing about him killing couples in
Dude is
cars.
horny,
Wasn't
right?
Whoa, one, Avi. Two, like, wasn't this like also a trope of some other? I swear I'm blanking of some other spooky urban legend, like the man with the hook or something like that. Am I thinking of SpongeBob? I'm very confused.
No, I feel you
Like,
though. That's like definitely something I've seen in the intro to a movie before. Is this idea of like the couples in a parked car and then something spooky? Like that's yeah.
yeah. Not only that, but it's a very, very specific
Yeah.
trope. It's not only that I'm reminiscing of, but also the trope for the Goatman says like, oh, like he will lure like the guy in the car outside by making weird noises or like touching the car, and then the guy will come outside and the Goatman will attack and kill him, and then hang him from a tree, and like the guy's shoe or whatever will be like making scratching noises on the top of the car, and so
Ooh.
now the terrified girlfriend will like hear that all night, and then when she comes out, she realizes it's not some creature trying to scare her, but it's her dead boyfriend's foot. And I swear I've heard that beat by
Oh.
beat with some
Oh,
other murderer that was not the
I've
Goatman.
definitely heard like there's definitely a story that's very similar to that with the dog, like girl petting her dog for comfort, and then when because she keeps hearing
Oh.
dripping in the bathroom, and when she goes to the bathroom to check on the dripping, it's her dead dog hanging and it's its blood. And then, yeah, and then on the
Ugh.
mirror in blood,
I've
it's
heard
written,
this.
yeah,
Yeah,
like not
yeah,
just
yeah.
dogs have fur, so what was she petting? So it's that same kind of like hearing something that you think is one thing.
No, I mean, no, the creepy pasta for that, if I recall correctly, goes like when she goes in the bathroom and she sees her like dead dog in the bathtub. The mirror then has written on it in blood like humans can lick
Oh
too.
yeah, that's definitely a good one. Yeah.
Ugh, that makes my hair stand up. I hate that. Do you don't know how many times I've like my arms been hanging off my bed just because I'm like chilling, relaxing, and then I think like no, like someone's gonna lick it, which like kind of hot but also spooky. So, um,
We love mixing the hot and the spooky here.
yeah, I mean if you're, I mean yeah, look at me, hello. Um, Now, I mean, yes, it is similar in the sense of like, oh, it's really not at all what you expected, like, oh, like subversion of expectations.
Mhm.
But I don't mean that. I mean that I've literally heard that story about like the noises on the top of the car and the girl in the car with something else, and I think it was supposed to be like a man with a hook or something
Oh,
like that,
interesting.
not the goat man. So they made like urban legends, like the science of urban legends. I don't know what to call it. Like maybe this trope kind of like transfixed from that to
Mm.
this, like somehow, to this cryptid, and so now it's part of its narrative. But I swear I've heard it before. Regardless, back to the goat man. So many people say that again, it kills young people parked in cars, or it scours neighborhoods, killing family pets. There are also tales of them breaking into people's houses and raping its victims. Apparently, basically, there's a couple of origin stories, and there's also other iterations of what could be the same Goatman, but it's like different cryptids in other states of the U.S. It's confusing. So people say that the Goatman was a man who kept goats and went mad after teenagers killed his flock, and he was driven to seek revenge against any youngster after that. However, there is another origin story that recounts that the origin of the Goatman can be traced to Beltsville Agricultural Research Center, which was a USDA facility anchored by this big brick building with like white columns, very creepy looking. And this was in this version, you have this mad scientist that was conducting experiments basically on a goat, and then something went horribly wrong, and of course, this guy, very much like, I don't know, the Sandman became the Sandman because he got mixed in with like sand and nuclear waste. I don't
Mm.
know how the fuck. In the same vein, this guy, something goes horribly wrong, and then he turns into a half man, half ghost beast, half goat beast. And now he's
So
hungry
it's
for
kind of a
blood. So
chimera in terms of like the
yeah, Yeah. I mean, that's what he looks like for sure. It's very much like when you look at pictures, it's very much just a human man with hoofs for feet and like a goat head, and the whole goat head thing. Like he has the horns, but
Oh,
everything else is like a human male body. It's really
that is
bizarre,
bizarre
and
because
he's
he's not
hairy.
just like man from the head from the waist up. He's got a goat head.
Yeah. It's just a goat head. Yeah, don't think centaur. It's different. He does have hair all over his body though, heavy hair, like he's a goat. So there's that. Now, I love this line from the article, by the way. It says, he may not be as famous as his cryptid cousins, Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster, but Goatman has a devoted following. How many Instagram followers does he have? I want to know
Dude, we
that.
gotta become
Now,
Goatman followers.
I know. I should have checked. So apparently, you have this folklorist professor at the University of Maryland that claims that the earliest sightings of this cryptid actually date back to 520 BC as
What?
the satyrs of Greek mythology. Yes, who held an almost identical role despite having existed 3,000 years ago. So basically, in Greek mythology, there were these creatures called the satyrs, Satyrs, and they were half goat, half man. So you have this folklorist professor saying, "Oh, the sightings go back to blah blah blah." I don't think that applies. I think that is very separate. Like
Mm.
from what I saw, it's very much the way that any other mythological creature in Greek mythology existed. Like uh, they were very magical and not necessarily malicious, and they were very much like accepted to exist in the real human plane. The Greeks, they were all kinds of shit. Like they were like, Zeus is gonna sap your ass if you sleep. Like it was very much not a spooky cryptid creature. Oh my god, is he real? Is he not? You know what I mean? It was the kind of thing they would paint on walls. So
Totally.
it's different.
Mm.
Um, but there's that.
Wow.
Now,
Imagine being a professor of folklore and just getting paid to research and put together cryptid theories.
dude, imagine being a professor of folklore and like having to deal with like dumb 20-something-year-olds trying to burn you on fucking podcasts. Like, now that's the tea. Sorry, professor. Now, speaking of the other Goatmans, quote unquote. Actually, no. First, I want to go more into depth about my the original, all-encompassing Goatman. So apparently, um, there is this town in Pennsylvania called Waterford. And in the 1970s, people were saying that the Goatman was lurking in farm fields around the area and stalking animals and like feeding on their flesh and blood. And
Mm.
there were hundreds of people that witnessed this creature at the
Hundreds of
time.
people.
Um, yeah. I know. So there was this one person in particular. Her name is Marilyn. We have no last name. She's anonymous. Marilyn says that she knew of the Goatman legend as a teenager in the 1970s, but along with the stories, she had also seen it with her own eyes on more than one occasion. So we have like an eyewitness account. She says, I lived on Baghdad Road, and I saw this figure running across the dirt road at one point near the old sawmill. She remembers that at the time there was much talk about the legend, with many people catching a glimpse of the creature darting across the road or into the brush along farm fields. She had a second encounter with the monster. They were dating when she was 17. Oh my god. Dude. He was a goat. She was a girl. No,
This is just like that movie with the water monster thing. What was it that just came out
I
recently?
know, Shape of Water.
Yeah.
I know. He was a fish. Yeah, same. So he was there that one night. I drove home, and right before I turned into my driveway, there he was, running across the road and into the woods. He was like Loki stalking her. This is giving me very much Edward Cullen vibes. Like, you know
Mm.
how he would like stalk Bella as she slept, and then she'd wake up and be like, "Oh my god, you're a creep, but you're so hot, so it's okay." And then he'd be like, "Yeah, I don't sleep." It's kind of the same as this.
That's the mood. He just shows up.
um, yeah, did you see the Twilight movies, or am I like
Oh, I
talking into a
absolutely saw
void?
the Twilight movies. I
Okay,
rewatched the Twilight
perfect. You
movies.
must. Okay, well, a stan, we get it. You don't have to yell. Now, Now, about the other iterations of the Goatman. By the way, Team Jacob or Team Edward?
Team Edward. Also, to be fair, I never read the books. I just find the movies
Okay,
fascinating.
well, listen, me neither, and that's precisely why I'm Team Jacob, because Taylor Lautner will forever be a
Did you say
hottie.
Taylor Hotner?
Taylor Lautner. Very fitting, isn't it? I mean, listen, nowadays it's more like Taylor not so Hotner, but still, just in my mind, forever a hottie. He has that pedestal. You know, he earned it with that shirtless scene in New Moon. That's all I'm saying. So Team Jacob all the way.
Absolutely.
Now, there is apparently a Goatman-like creature that people think might be just the Goatman, but in this area of the country, it's called something different. It's called the Pope Lick Monster. Not because it's the Pope and he licks you, which, you know, problematic, but because... Listen, Catholic Church, don't come for me. Also, you can come for me because God knows you have some dirty laundry. So that's all I'm saying. Now, the Pope Lick Monster is a legendary part man, part goat, and part sheep creature. Again, so it's sheep, not goat, but people think maybe it is just the goat man and people are differentiating a little too much.
Yeah. What?
Reported to live beneath a Norfolk Southern Railroad trestle over Floyd's Fork Creek in the Fisherville area of Louisville, Kentucky. If you didn't get that, he lives in the South. In most accounts, the Pope Lick monster, named after the Pope Lick Creek below the Pope Lick train trestle. I need to get my facts right. I don't want people coming for me, so that's why I'm being very specific. Appears as a human. He's basically named after a creek in Louisville. Appears as a human-goat hybrid with the grotesquely deformed body of a man. It has powerful fur-covered goat legs. Okay, so it has goat legs but a sheep face. What the fuck? An alabaster-skinned face with an aquiline nose and white set eyes. Short, sharp horns protrude from the forehead, nestled in long, greasy hair that match the color of the fur on the legs. It sounds like my ex. Okay. Now...
Someone get their eggs.
Oh my god! Dude, story time. I dated the public monster. Gone wrong, gone sexual, emotional.
And you need a screenshot of your straight up ass cheeks as the thumbnail.
I know. The thumbnail is like me sucking a sheep dick or something. Okay. Now okay. Now that's that creature. However, there's also this other, I'm gonna call it iteration because I think these are the Goatman, just in different places. Cited by different people, and so people think it's a different thing. But anyway, this is called the Proctor Valley Monster. So this monster is said to be 7 feet tall and a quote-unquote deranged cow. The Proctor Valley Monster provides numerous points of evidence for Goatman's existence, including a footprint. The legend of the Proctor Valley Monster grew, and it is described as a 7-foot-tall, hairy humanoid-like Bigfoot creature, or sometimes a cow-like animal with its body parts in the wrong place.
Whoa.
Now, here's why I say, even though it says cow, that it is still the Goatman. Because maybe they mean bull, and bulls also have horns, and bull faces and goat faces kind of look similar. You know, they're
I don't know,
they're
but
like
what
farm
about
animals.
the sheep
They
part?
have.
What? There's.
That's true. On the prior monster, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know. Don't sheep and goats kind of look like?
Yeah,
Like,
they totally do. I'm curious about what would even differentiate into what you could possibly see that would make you think that's not just a goat, that's a sheep too.
maybe the Pope Lick whatever had like sheepy like fur. You know how they is it fur? Anyway, like you know
Curls.
they're
Yeah.
yeah. I still think these are all the Goatmen though because like. Like these 3 farm animals, right? Like cows, goats, and sheep. They all have very like forwardly protruding faces because that's just how those animals look. And I think it'd be easy to confuse them, especially if you're kind of shocked by the fact that you're seeing a farm animal on the body of a man. So I don't think you take a close look, right?
That's
So
fair. Yeah, I could see them all being in the same. Yeah.
yeah, especially if this thing is like running around. Like you're not gonna get a great look, and you're gonna be like, "Oh, is it a sheep? Is it a cow? No, it's Superman." Like you know what I mean? So now, the Proctor Valley Monster is assumed to be responsible for the livestock mutilations that occur every now and then in the Chula Vista area.
Oh. Whoa. Animal mutilations.
Yeah, so this guy mutilates animals just like they say the Goatman does, so that's why I think it's the Goatman. Now, as far as it being in Chula Vista, that is very bizarre because the Goatman is usually in like the far Midwest, and the South. So this is odd, but whatever. So there's a museum in Chula Vista that has a casting of this footprint that they allege to be of this monster, right? The
Oh,
Proctor Valley monster,
interesting.
who I say is just the
Mm-hmm.
Goatman. Um, the the footprint is there. You can see it. People, it's like a 3 foot long like footprint. So this is it's weird. It's okay. So the actual footprint is like a hoof, right?
Mm.
But like then it has like claws. It's really bizarre.
Whoa.
Like it's like a hoof with claws. It's really weird, and the whole thing is like 3 feet long. But that's mostly the claws, because hoofs aren't very big.
Mm.
So the most of that like circumference is because the claws
Oh,
protrude
that's
from the hoof.
terrifying.
So that is weird. Um, I don't know if this article is like pranking me, but yeah, that's that. Now it is the Proctor Valley monster. I should have specified earlier, from whom the whole young teens in a car story actually comes
Gotcha.
from. Yeah, so people associate it with the Proctor Valley monster, and they associate it with alleged. I couldn't find any of this actually, like for real, on the internet,
Mm.
but they associate this with the alleged killings of some teenagers in the 70s and 80s in the San Diego area.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and because I think this is the Goatman, this is why I was earlier referring to the fact that like the Goatman does this. But in all technicality, it is the Proctor Valley monster, and if it is a different creature, then it's a different creature. But I don't think
Mm.
so. Um, yeah, I mean, as far as this specific monster, there are park rangers and other investigators that have never been able to confirm sightings, but there's been a lot of reported sightings from campers and area residents, and even like a sheriff's deputy claim at one point. They like this sheriff said that he had seen some like large hairy thing tromping the hills, and that was interesting because that's like an officer saying that. So
Mm.
that's the Proctor Valley monster. That's the Goat Man as a whole. Thoughts?
I mean, Goatman migration. It's cool that there are these that there are these stories from different parts, um, and also the violence attached to them. I think that's always very interesting when you have some kind of some kind of resulting the animal mutilations and the alleged deaths.
I just think it makes it creepier, doesn't it? I mean, it
Absolutely,
does a good job of scaring you, and I mean, if that's all an urban legend will do, then at least it does that.
exactly. Those claws on
Um,
hooves. That is terrifying. What?
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, there's one last thing I guess I want to say about the
Mm.
Goat Man. The reason I actually became interested in this to begin with was because I remember a couple years ago reading this terrifying Goat Man story. It's like a creepy pasta, but boy, is it well written.
Mm.
It's called Anansi's Goat Man story. It's very popular, actually. I don't know if you've ever heard of
Mm-mm.
it, but basically, you have this group of friends doing like a camping trip, and there's this one guy that's never heard of the Goatman, and he's kind of the protagonist. And the whole story is, like, to sum it up, you have the Goatman, who is like a man with the head of a goat, and in the story he can shapeshift and get among groups of people and terrorizes
Oh,
them.
shape
And it's kind of
shifting.
supposed to be like, yeah, it's different. The story attributes so more features to
Mm-hmm.
him. It's also supposed to be kind of like the Wendigo in the sense that, like, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Wendigo, but like okay, so like the Wendigo in Native American folklore is actually, I think, supposed to be like a male witch, if I'm not mistaken,
Mm-hmm.
that can like shapeshift into this terrifying
Mm-hmm.
creature. I may be thinking of something else, like skinwalkers, but I think that's what it
Mm.
is. And so it's very similar to that. Like, this goat man is actually just like some evil, I don't know, wizard, and um he transforms into this and gets into groups of people and terrorizes them. And the way he terrorizes them is very creepy in the story, because he will take a person from the group, from a large group of
Mm.
people, and like the group of people won't realize that person is gone until later. It's very subtle and bizarre and silent. It's really
Oh.
really weird.
Oh,
Like, at
that's
the end
really
of this at the
interesting.
end of this yeah, at the end of the story, you have this moment, right, where it's like, if I recall correctly, like, you have the friends in the group talking about everything that's happened because they've heard noises and shit all night and like someone was chasing them,
Mm-hmm.
and they're talking amongst themselves in a circle, and they're like, wait, wasn't there 9 of us here? There's only 8 now. And
Ooh.
what they realize all along is the Goatman was with them the whole time, and they
Wait,
didn't even
no
realize it
freaking
because
way.
he had shapeshifted into a teenager.
Oh, shoot. Wait, so,
It-
okay. I thought it was like their friend had been taken.
No, like, okay, so I didn't explain this correctly. Like, throughout the story, like, people disappear, like the friends get taken, and then they come back, and they can't recall what happened to them. But like, okay, like at the start of the story, you have 9 people, and then all those 9 people, like in alternation, get taken, and then they come back, and they're like, oh, I don't know what happened. And then at the end, you have the group of friends back, and they're like, whoa, that was a wild ride. And then they're like, wait, wasn't there 9 of us? Now there's only 8. And they realize, like, all along, the Goatman was there with them in the group, so it was really easy for the Goatman to just take all of them,
Whoa,
you know, like
yeah.
every one of them. It's weird, it's
That's
spooky.
super spooky. We should read that in an
I know.
episode or something.
I,
We should have a scary stories one.
I know. We'll be doing a creepypasta episode soon, I'm sure. Because it's just like my lifelong
I totally
love
feel
of
that.
spooky
I love
stories.
a good spooky story.
So that's the Goatman. Your turn.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you brought up half human creatures because my next one is actually a native myth from Japan. So the native population on Japan is the Ainu people, and they have folklore with something called the Akoro Kamui. That's that's technically the Japanese translation of Ainu language, and that's like then said in English. um, so
Okay.
but the interesting part about this too is that it has this cultural flexibility because it originally was Ainu, and then once Japanese folks were there, it made its way into Shinto religion that Japanese folks follow, and Japan made it into a mini god that you kind of worship with positive and negative characteristics, which is pretty interesting. But if you can guess what the animal is, we can start by once again thinking about sex, and when you think about animals and sex in Japan, what can you miss?
You think of octopi.
Yes, thank you. So the idea is a half octopus, half woman, or possibly just a really huge octopus. And yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff around here that we'll hop right into. So the name is actually translated from the Ainu Atkor Kamui, which means string holding Kamui, and Kamui being some kind of divine being. So string holding probably representing tentacles here. So it's described with the ability to self-amputate like real octopi can, and to be able to regenerate limbs. It's believed to have healing powers, which is represented in its ability to regenerate limbs. And consequently, it's believed among followers that giving offerings can heal ailments of the body. So that's pretty cool. In terms of the mythology behind it, the story is that once spirits cursed Rabunge, a villager of Abuda Toyora, to see the destruction of his town. They sent a part spider, part human creature, Yaoshkepu, to fulfill the curse. But Yaoshkepu caused rampant destruction throughout the town, slaughtering so many that the streets were filled with crimson blood. After hearing the townsfolk tremble with fear, the sea kami, the sea god, Repun Kamui, transformed Yaoshkepu into an octopus and cast her into the sea. Right? That's the end of you, bitch. You're a sea bitch now. Except now, after Yaoshkepu was cast into the sea, her size began to grow, eventually beginning to consume larger prey such as whales and ships. One day, Akoro Kamui gobbled up a boat full of fishermen. In her stomach, they called for help. Hearing the cries, Repun Kamui poisoned Akoro Kamui, giving her great pain. As she hollered in agony, the fishermen escaped. However, she learned to harness the venom, using it to attack her prey, which now gives her this venomous quality. So that's kind of the legend behind it. So the largest recorded giant Pacific, so the giant Pacific octopus, which is this octopus, is the largest type of octopus, first of all. And this legend, Akoro Kamui, is recorded to be a bright red, like the reflection of the sunset on the water, is how she's described. And it's totally possible for giant octopi to be red. The largest recorded is 30 feet across, which is just crazy. That's, yeah, that's like 3 living rooms together, 30 feet across, and 600 pounds. And octopi are actually the most intelligent invertebrates, so they have good problem-solving skills and a really interesting life cycle. So I wanted to see, you know, like, so would this be possible? But Akuro Kamui is recorded to be 394 feet long, theoretically, which is like, yeah, over 10 times the largest recorded octopus. But here's the thing. The octopus life cycle lasts 3 to 5 years. I did some research here. It lasts 3 to 5 years max. But the way that they die is super weird because they lay their eggs, and once they've gone through one reproductive cycle, they just starve until they waste away and die. At least the females, and the males also die pretty soon. But an experiment found that when you take out their, I think it's called their orbital gland, which is the gland between their eyes, they don't waste away. Like, they'll just keep eating and keep living, because that's where, like, their self-destructive instinct comes in, I think, when they lay eggs. So...
Interesting. Why do you think that is? Do you think, like, it's because they think that they might be taking food away from their children, so they kill
That's
themselves?
one theory, that, like, they could dominate too much of the resources, or that they could even eat their children because octopi are cannibalistic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's real love. Like, I think I could kill you if I let myself live, so I'm gonna kill myself.
Yeah, it's really interesting that they would have, like, a self-destruct gene. That's so counterintuitive. But basically, it's possible for that gene to not kick in if say, your orbital gland's been damaged or something. And then you could just have an octopus that's straight up chilling, and they never stop growing as long as they're alive. So the eyewitness account that is most interesting, in my opinion, is that in the 1800s, a European visitor who spent several years of his life with the Ainu people, John Batchelor, had an encounter. So his story is, in the morning we found the whole village under a cloud. 3 men, it was said, were out trying to catch swordfish, when all at once a great sea monster with large staring eyes appeared in front of them and proceeded to attack the boat. A desperate fight ensued. The monster was round in shape and emitted a dark fluid and noxious odor. The 3 men fled in dismay, not so much indeed for fear, they say, but on account of the dreadful smell. However that may have been, they were so scared that the next morning all 3 refused to get up and eat. They were lying in their beds, pale and trembling. So this is a kind of outsider account that confirms the existence of some kind of huge sea monster that lets out a dark fluid and noxious odor, and I absolutely could see it being a giant octopus. Yeah, which I thought was kind of crazy. And yeah, this was a YouTube comment quote. That's how you know you're gonna get something high quality.
Yeah.
But if the electric eel had went extinct 10 years ago and someone told us about it now, we would probably laugh them off.
I mean, yeah, except that so many cryptids have humanoid qualities that, like, that is way harder to be believable, because, like, there are close to no animals that have gone extinct that are humanoid in nature. So that's why, yeah, I don't think that's a fair example. I don't think it's a fair analogy, because, like, the electric eel, okay, but if you tell me, like, oh, you know, why don't you believe that this half woman, half octopus thing could have just gone extinct? It's like, no, like,
because it's a little crazier.
That's way harder.
But what about, like, just a huge,
yeah, like,
giant octopus, like half woman, part aside?
I mean, yeah, that is more believable. Just thinking about, what if the Akoro Kamui is just what the Japanese called the kraken when they first saw it. Like, right? Same as the Goatman. What if it's just different like instances of the same creature being spotted? And the kraken has been talked about for centuries.
Mm,
So, just a giant octopus that attacks ships. Like, I can totally see that.
that's actually a really cool point. Yeah, that's a very good point. I googled Kraken and it came up with a Bitcoin company.
I love that. And honestly, I mean, if we go with the Kraken theory, then it totally makes sense that it could have just gone extinct, or it could have, I don't know, like changed in size over time because I don't know, like like scarcity of food, and how animals are only as big as the resources around them
Yeah,
allow, right? And that's why like dinosaurs are fucking huge, but now animals aren't as big. Like
yeah.
same kind of line of thinking.
Mhm.
So like maybe, and that's why now we definitely have giant squid. Giant squids are real and they're big. They're just not kraken big.
Mm,
So maybe they're the descendants.
that's a really good point. And looking up the Kraken, it says Scandinavian folklore, which is really interesting because Scandinavia has like a similar climate in terms of like latitude and longitude to Japan. Like both have a lot of whales nearby and do whaling. Um, so you never know. Whales could be a big source of food for these giant octopus occupying these seas. Um,
True. Interesting. Ooh. Whales, watch out. Um, that is really cool. That is really cool. Thank you. So I think I might want to close this with one more cryptid. Now this shit, Sonny, is fucking nuts and it is terrifying. And I'm gonna send you a picture of the cryptid that I'm gonna be talking about so you get an idea of what it looks like. This is called the A-Mi-Kuk. And you should have received a picture just now. It is a legendary creature from Inuit mythology.
ooh.
This monster is known from the Bering Strait of Alaska. Huge and heavy creature with slimy, moist skin, and instead of legs, this creature has 4 human-like arms and hands that are kind of long, which it uses to both walk upon and to capture its prey. It's also said to be capable of burrowing underground and emerge in inland lakes. Supposedly, the A-Mi-Kuk preys a lot on fishermen, and you have a lot of people that foolishly enough still choose to bathe in the sea around, I don't know, the Bering Strait of Alaska, which like who the fuck is showering there? But they say to have seen it. Apparently, this thing consumes a lot of fish and saltwater birds too. And at some point, the area like had some kind of problem where like these species of like saltwater birds and fish were like their populations were diminishing, and the people in the area, the locals, were like, "Oh, it's the A-Mi-Kuk." So
Ooh.
there's that.
Dude, this
Um,
photo is terrifying. This is legitimately,
right,
yeah, it's
imagine
like
just
a
like
manatee with fangs with 4 long hanging limbs.
I know. Okay, Sunny, picture. Okay, close your eyes. You are in the beautiful wilderness of Alaska. You're in a cold lake. It's a chilly day. You're by yourself, kayaking. You have your coat on. You can see the beautiful mountains afar. All of a sudden, you hear a rumble under your kayak. And then you hear another rumble. And then you hear one more and a little bit of splashing. And then you turn to your left and you see this huge pair of eyes that are just piercing blue, and they're looking at you, and they're followed by this big ass fangy mouth. And then the thing just like dives back down into the water, and you're in the middle of a big ass lake. What do you do? I don't know. It's just like when I picture things like this, especially when I have an image like a picture
Yeah,
reference, right? Like with
yeah.
this, it's like I have such a vivid like movie in my head, I can't. So there's that. Also, I just have a fear of the ocean and of huge ass creatures. Even when I was talking about the kraken, and I brought that one up myself too. Like, I don't like thinking about it. It's like these huge creatures,
Yeah.
and like imagine if you're just like swimming, right, and just fucking chilling, or like on a diving. People who dive are okay. Excuse me, diving community. I'm sorry. I love you all, but you're all a bunch of fucking psychopaths. Like who is like this vast expanse of nothingness where I can't breathe. Yes, that's where I want to go in, and I want to be there for 15 minutes at a time. Like, who the fuck is like, yes, that's my idea of a good time? I can't.
I would have, I mean, dude, it's the sea, dude. What makes you look at that and go, this is where I want to spend my spare time. This looks wonderful and very safe.
That's what I'm saying. Listen, I understand explorer's mind. Like, I understand an explorer's sense of adventure. I mean, I can't relate, but I can understand it intellectually, right? Like, it's okay. Like, you want to be the person to discover what is out there, and to do that, you must explore. I'm sure that's thrilling. The other side of that blade, however, is the things you could find in there could be the fucking, like, what the fuck is this thing called? The A-Mi-Kuk? Like, you could find that there. And that's the potential risk, right? It's very, like, I feel like exploring the depths of the ocean is a very high risk, high reward kind of situation. And me being kind of a low-key stats stan, I'm not a fan of high risk, high reward situations. Like, I don't buy lottery tickets. Hello. I turned down Brad Pitt on that date because I was like, it's just not my style. You're too famous. So, like, I'm not a fan of these kind of situations. So,
Wait, but this is actually terrifying. And it makes me think again, like you brought up with the Kraken. The thing with the octopus too is that, like, it's got 8 arms, so it's got a lot of control. Like, what is to stop that thing from just capsizing your ship, or just taking you, like a bald python style, right? Just suffocating you, or like, holding on to you.
This is precisely what I'm talking about. Like, who isn't afraid of huge, dangerous creatures that want to eat you and live in the ocean, where your defenses are lowered because it's not your natural habitat. You move slowly in water. You can't breathe under it. Like, I can't.
We're land creatures, Andre. At least we know.
I know. Like, we've spent like tens of thousands of years barely being able to deal with like land animals trying to eat us, like, and we can run on land. Like, no.
Well, okay, there's the thing. Goatman comes at me. What if I have my whatever amendment right gun? You know. But what are you
also,
what
I love that. Whatever amendment right. More importantly, yeah, exactly. Like, you could have a gun. You could have a really good pair of Skechers on, and girl, you know you're running. I know you're a track and field girl. I'm just saying. So there's that.
Really good pair of Skechers on. So good you can run from Goatman. They could advertise.
So, dude, that should be Skechers' official slogan. Are you kidding me? So good you can run from Goatman himself. Now, okay, so this big ass creature apparently, this thing is known to migrate underground to inland lakes. Also, people believe that there might be more than one. People believe that there might be more than one of these things. That might actually be like a species. Therefore, there's more than one.
Dude, this photo is still
with cryptids
freaking me out. This thing going underground.
I know. Just
multiple.
Keep looking at it as I keep talking. Like, so people think, like, the thing with some cryptids, like, for example, the Goatman is like, okay, I'm pretty sure there's only one Goatman, and it makes sense because it was like a freak accident, or I don't know, something like that. Like, he got bit by a radioactive goat. Like, okay, there's only one Goatman. But with some of the more zoological like cryptids, there's often the idea that these could actually be a species and not just one thing.
Really
kind of like Bigfoot. People think there's like Bigfoot
or big cats
communities.
Of Britain. Just
or big cats of Britain.
Everywhere.
Yep. So people think that the A-Mi-Kuks migrate underground to inland lakes, and that the presence of one is actually a good sign for the lake, which, okay, Alaska, whatever. When an A-Mi-Kuk leaves its lake, according to this article that I'm reading, the channel that it digs drains it dry, but when it returns, the sea returns with it. So that's why it's supposed to be like a good sign.
Wait, what? So now it's this like creature that represents the ocean and its goodness. Like, what?
Yeah, it's like this magical shit that I'm not buying. No, if anything, I buy that it could exist, but I don't buy that it's like benevolent and magical. I think it just fucking eats people. So
I'm sorry, but if you look like that creature, Andre, there's no way you're benevolent.
I mean, listen. I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a second, or I should say, A-Mi-Kuk's advocate. The Loch Ness monster, pretty ugly.
Yes.
Just saying, not a hottie. So, and the Scots love that shit. They're like, yes, it's good, and it brings, I don't know, what are Scots like? Fucking. Well, no, it's the Irish. I was going to say potatoes. It brings goodwill to the area, and the lake thrives, whatever the fuck. So, sorry, Irish, don't come for me. Anyway, So it could be a situation like that. It could be a Loch Ness style
Mm.
situation. I mean, that's definitely a thing. This thing is definitely uglier and more terrifying than the Loch Ness monster. Everyone, please go look at a picture of the A-Mi-Kuk. But
You
regardless,
should
it could
link
be
it in the
that.
description. That's how much this thing is tripping me out. This
Yeah,
photo
I
is
think I think
crazy.
I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna.
Wait, I'm gonna send you the photo of the big cat. That is definitely a real photo. I'm just like,
Thanks.
how is there any
I don't think
doubt
it'll be a
after
shock
this?
though, because it will it just be just like a picture of a blurry
Yes,
puma
that is
like.
exactly what it is.
That is our episode. Everyone, thank you for listening. We appreciate your time and attention and commitment to this podcast and its shenanigans. If you have any future podcast, if you have any future podcast ideas, actually, honestly, just bring them to me. Let me know. New podcast coming your way. I'll talk about anything. No, but if you have future topic ideas for this podcast, please do let us know by DMing us at Talk Scary on Instagram and Twitter. Also, remember that we are on all podcast listening platforms. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, etc. You can also DM us on our Facebook page at Scary Talk. And yeah, let us know your thoughts and comments and ideas. Sunny, anything else?
No, just gonna echo all that. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And slide into our DMs, dude.
Yeah, be wary next time you take a shower. The A-Mi-Kuk might come out of your drain and
How
eat
could
your
you say
balls.
that?
Good night,
Good
everyone.
night,
Bye.
bye.